a warm welcome. Today we want to take a closer look at the new Dyson spot+scrub AI. Of course, it comes with artificial intelligence, because nowadays nothing works without AI anymore. As is well known, it's an ODM product from PyCEA, meaning PyCEA offers a platform that brands can use to have products manufactured and sold under their own branding. However, there are customization options, and PyCEA offers those as well. Dyson has indeed made use of some of these options. For example, we have a push mechanism for the dustbin. We already know something similar from the Dyson Vis Nav, where a comparable solution is used for the HEPA filter. Personally, I like this approach quite a bit, because you can simply remove the dustbin without having to take off an additional lid from the device. What I'm not quite as pleased with is the filter itself, or rather what Dyson states about it. Dyson has always placed great importance on offering HEPA filtration, including fully HEPA-sealed systems, as was the case with the Dyson Vis Nav, that also has an ATSM certification, about what I made an in-depth video regarding HEPA filtration certification and vacuum robots. However, with this new device, you can find very little information about the filtration performance and a certification. The German Dyson page has no information about the separation efficiency and only states that the filters can capture particles as small as 0.1 micron. The UK listing states that the filters were tested against EN 1822-1 version 2019 high-efficiency air filters, Part 1, and EN ISO 294633 version 2018, Part 3, but still not mentioning any external certification or even giving a hard number regarding separation efficiency. There is also a Chinese listing with some certification information, but I have to take a detailed look at it in the future. Overall, given the current information, it looks like the spot+scrub cannot offer the same fully HEPA-sealed system like the Dyson Vis Nav is doing. At least the same filter is also used as post-motor filter for the cleaning base, something I will show you later. For the clean water tank, we have a transparent design. You either like that or you don't. I personally would have wished for two different versions, including for the cleaning station. For example, having the option of a fully transparent design, at least for all the tanks. As for the dirty water tank, it uses the typical design already known from the iRobot Roomba 705 combo and pretty much similar from other manufacturers. On the underside, we continue with the typical Dyson mopping roller, a microfiber roller that can also be detached on the side. The Roomba 705 combo uses the same solution. I'll also take a closer look at whether the rollers might be interchangeable. Then we have the typical Pieca side brushes. Unfortunately, on this device, the side brushes cannot be lifted. The main brush, however, can be lifted. This is a difference compared to the Roomba 705 combo. When we talk about the main brush, we can see that unfortunately it consists mostly of very soft nylon bristles. We don't even get a mix of carbon bristles and stiff nylon bristles like we know from Dyson's vacuum cleaners. Not to mention the type of main brush used in the Dyson Vis Nav, which provides cleaning elements suitable for all floor types. And when we look at the presentation on the homepage, in my opinion, it's somewhat misleading. It gives the impression that the brush has shorter, stiffer bristles, which is simply not the case. I am not expecting this device to set new suction power and cleaning performance records anyway, especially compared to the Dyson Vis Nav. But I do think this type of main brush is not doing the product any favors. Especially on carpets with a very dense pile, like my red test carpet, I'm fairly convinced the robot won't perform particularly well, largely due to this very soft main brush. But as always, I am going to test that. On the positive side, the mechanism for releasing the brush cover is worth mentioning, as well as the presence of these plastic combs inside the brush housing, which will at least help reduce the amount of hair that gets tangled in the brush. Now let's take a look at the station, or rather the corresponding water tanks first. There aren't really any surprises here. We have a dirty water tank and a clean water tank. And as I mentioned before, I would have liked the option to get them in a transparent version as well, to match the robot, or simply to have two versions depending on preference. The station's dustbin actually uses a cyclonic design, which we also already know from the Dyson Vis Nav in a more compact form. And we also have the typical mesh that gets cleaned with the help of a rubber wiper. Sometimes this works well, sometimes less so. However, the emptying of the robot's dustbin by the evac system seems to work really well. I've only run the robot 2 or 3 times so far, but it looks like the bin is being emptied properly. And to remove hair and other debris from the station's dustbin, if you need to access the mesh at the top, you can remove the transparent upper part completely. Inside, there's a small red lever you can operate once the dirt bin has been opened. Next, we move on to the station itself and the end filter I mentioned earlier. It's the same filter that's used inside the robot. It sits on a small structure where it simply clips into place. I'm not particularly impressed with this construction, and personally I have some concerns regarding the longevity, but we will see. What also interests me in the long run is how dust accumulation will look in this area or chamber over time. But as I said, I'll take a closer look at that later, or simulate it to see how it develops. Next, we move on to the sections for the dirty water and the fresh water. In the freshwater section, we also have the filling area for a cleaning solution. Dyson, of course, wants you to use their special probiotic cleaner. I, for example, use Dyson's Wet Cleaner Wash G1 with cleaning solutions from other vendors without problems. You just have to make sure they don't foam too much, and then it shouldn't be a problem also for this robot. What I don't like so much about this solution is that the tank is permanently built in. You can't remove it, and in the long run that might not be ideal. In the dirty water tank area, we have another filter that is most likely meant to prevent coarse particles from entering the cleaning system or the dirty water section. We know this concept from other devices as well, but in most cases, the filter is built into the wash bed, the area where the robot's cleaning tools are washed. There you usually have some kind of filtration element that can simply be removed. The solution used here seems suboptimal to me at first glance, but I'll need to take a closer look at it over the long term. I haven't been able to find much information about it online yet, just instructions on how to replace it. In this video, I wasn't able to get it out with the gloves on, but more on that later. Lastly, we have the green laser feature, which is intended to help detect particles and dirt more effectively. We know this from Dyson's cordless vacuums, but also from Pika and their consumer brand 3i Robotics. The 3i S10 Ultra already had this feature, with the laser diode positioned slightly differently, and the newer F1 and F1 Pro models, which, as far as I know, are only available in the Asian market, also have it, apparently in the same design as on this device. This raises the question of whether Dyson was able to contribute any know-how here, either from their vacuum cleaner development or from the development of an improved Dyson Vis Nav, which is rumored to have taken place. But that's all speculation. To be honest, I rather doubt it. My assumption is that this is simply an PKA solution. But we'll see. Maybe I'll eventually get my hands on a comparable robot with the same feature set so I can test it more directly. So what does this actually do? You can see it a bit here. This type of illumination really does help make floor surface differences visible, both in height and depth, thereby making particles and dirt easier to spot. Pure camera-based models providing this function most likely have problems with false recognitions on textured contrast, rich floor types, or failed detections due to low levels of contrast between floor type and the dirt or spill. This maybe helps with this issue too. I'll take a closer look at how well it works in practice. Personally, I'm not expecting too much regarding the pure vacuuming performance. I just don't see how it could even remotely keep up with a Dyson Vis Nav, which performs extremely well on both carpets and hard floors. You can find the corresponding tests on my channel. As for the mopping performance, I'm curious to see whether the device can keep up with the iRobot Roomba 705 combo, which, thanks to its Y pattern, was able to clean even the grooves in the laminate in my test area. No other mop-vac combo except for the iRobot Roomba 205 that also can use the Y pattern has managed that so far, with the exception of the mentioned Dyson Vis Nav as vacuum-only robot. I'm also planning to do a teardown of the Dyson spot+scrub and the iRobot Roomba 705 to take a closer look at how both devices are built, how similar they are, and what additional differences might exist beyond the obvious ones. Overall, out of the box and setup experience was good, and the build quality seems to be solid. The current price tag of €11.99 is a bit crazy, I think, which leads me to mention my Ko-fi link in the description. Also, please like and subscribe if you like my content. Thank you. That's it for now. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye.